Yo, it's a CypherTalk, and this is gonna be a super chill. Actually, I don't even know how this one's gonna go. We have our featured guest, which is Bretton Selent, aka what's your b-boy name?
Oh shit, it changes all the time.
B-boy, short beard.
What was the last? Short
Impact.
beard, long beard,
Impact,
changes beard. Was it Impact, Renegade, LK. Back in the day, Lady Killer. Shout out. But now I'm married, so we had to change that one really
Lady
fast.
killer,
So.
Filipino chicks or what?
They're taller than me, so no.
This is gonna be like oh, it's gonna be hilarious. So you're repping X Company and B.O.S.S, and yeah, man, we've known each other for quite a bit time, and yeah, man, you were like the was it the bad cop in the interview? Remember this?
Yeah.
How we met
At Red River, right? When we interviewed you.
You and Eddie Miller interviewed me at Red River College.
Yep.
And then Eddie was a nice dude, like giving me like the easy questions or whatever, and then you were the hard dude giving me like the hard, like super hard question. Like,
Yeah, I had
does this
him
guy
planned.
know his stuff or whatever?
Pretty much, and I didn't know anything at the time, so that was so funny about it.
I was like, what is up with this guy?
If you had a choice between stealing $1 million and a Corvette, which one would you choose?
That was one of the questions.
Yeah, I think so.
$1 million or a Corvette?
Yeah.
I don't even remember that.
There's no reason why. I just one of those off questions that like, what the hell's going on? We had it all planned out. It was pretty fun. You got the job though, so that was good. You got the job.
It worked out. So we also have Genie up in here.
Yo, capital N.
Capital N.
What?
Capital G,
Yeah.
E, capital N. Yo, I spell it that way. Yo,
That's
move
how
on,
he
move on.
spells it.
There's more people in the studio. Move on.
We got Stallz for the
What's up,
psychedelic
everybody?
journeyer.
Yeah, I spell it with capital Z at the end. That's a throwback to B.O.S.S, like my original crew, right? So.
And we got Dexter from Montreal.
What up?
Nice.
So you guys have an offshoot crew, I guess. So like, what would what was it called? Assassin's Crew. Assassin's Crew. And you guys
Assassin's Crew.
You guys just did your thing.
Spelled with a Z at the end.
Assassin.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, we'll change the group chat then.
No, I changed it. Then you changed it back.
Oh, my bad. I was like, yo, somebody spelled this wrong. And yo, Brett, Lindsay doesn't let you spell things wrong, so I'm helping you out,
That's
dog.
Shout out to my wife.
Just hear it right now. Bretton.
Yeah, I know. We it's kind of like a hit and miss thing, kind of out of nowhere. We Genie. It actually started when Genie got a gig to do. Was that a wedding?
It was an Indian wedding.
It was an Indian wedding, and so
super
we
fun.
were dancing at an Indian wedding. So Genie was like, "Yo, Brett, yo, Stallz, you want to do this?" And it's like, "All right, let's do it." It's like, "Yo, we need a crew name," and it was, I don't know what the other ones were. And I was playing Assassin's Creed at the time. I was like, "Yo, Assassins would be sick." It's like, "Yo, Assassins." So
And we stole their logo.
Yeah.
then we stole the Assassin's Creed logo and made it our
yeah.
own. So it's pretty hype. No big.
Swing. Assassins. That's our sound effect.
And you guys just won along with two other members for the Pokemon format Battle Dance for MS. You guys just won that.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
How was that? You guys had like some routines and stuff.
Yeah, we got together really quick, a couple times. We didn't spend too much time on it, and we
No.
kind of just were like, "Yo, we got to bring some stuff. So it's just something different.
Yeah.
My first battle in like 7 years or something like that. So it was a little nerve wracking to me coming out of retirement. What with a big win, you know? What can I say, you know?
No big
But,
deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a pretty stacked team, so that helped.
Yeah, and plus on that, me, Janelle, and Brett were all Genie too, but we're all part of the Artists Within, right? So we had a bunch of we remixed a bunch of content from there as a base of our routines, right? So
That's cool. How was that whole experience, by the way? And I guess Genie, you could talk about this a little bit, but that was a really big production. So what was your experience like going ahead with that?
The Artist Within was intense, man. It was like a year-long process. Like the show was March 30th and 31st, but we started working on it. Well, I started thinking about it and writing it in April of the year before, right? And then conceptualizing some things over the summer. me and Tracy went down to Toronto and Montreal to train over the month of August, and we got to be in a production with Dark Dance Company out there. So I got to see how a production actually happens and what it takes to run one. And then when we came back here, we had an audition in September. That's where Stallz came on, and we picked up Jonelle later. And just like writing an actual like story-driven dance, rap, art, beatboxing show, like with a bunch of different characters that all kind of intertwine, right? So like me and Stallz were part of these characters called the After Hours crew that kind of come in at random points and clean up the stage kind of thing, right? Like with like entrances like Kramer from Seinfeld is what I was inspired by, right? So, and then Bretton played a music executive head who like runs this music company, and he like signs this rapper and they get into a fight and whatever, right? It was really cool. It was really cool. Like we had a cast of like 72, 73 people, like so like 40 dancers and then like 20 something other people, like, and yeah, it was crazy. It was an awesome experience. Like, but the funny thing was that over the 7 months we were working to do the show, we never once ever did it from beginning to end until the day of the actual show on Thursday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was a little worried about it.
Yeah. We were at like even at Tech Run the day of the show, we didn't get through the whole show, and that's because we realized when we did the show that it was 3 hours, and that's probably why we could never get through it, right? Like, but yeah, we like even our tech crew, like the stage manager, the backstage manager, and the lighting guy, they came on like a week and a half before the show to see it for the first time, and they were still able to like do a great job, right? So yeah, it was dope. It was a dope experience, and I'll let you guys talk about it if you want, or move on to the next thing.
Yeah, no, it was cool. I mean, for me, because this is, I've only been on B.O.S. for a little bit, kind of getting back into things, kind of dancing training for me again. And so we did In the Zone last year, and then the whole idea of a production came up, and I was like, oh man, I don't want to do a production, like I just want to keep doing crew stuff, right? Like crew battles and training and that kind of stuff. And so I was like, Genie's my friend. So I'll support him, and we'll do this. We'll get her done. And no, it was. I'm glad I stuck around because it was sick. It was a sick experience. It was a lot of work. I think it was more work than we thought it was gonna be. Kind of as we got into it, it was like, oh, we didn't think about that one. Okay, I guess we're doing it right. And but no, it was good. It was really sweet, and the response from people that came and saw the show, it was insane. Like we had standing ovations at the end of every show. We had people coming up and asking. We had dancers and different types of artists, because the show wasn't just about dance. We had a DJ in there. We had a spoken word artist. We had a rapper. We had a singer. We had, what else do we have? A painter, live painter. We had parkour artists in there. We had all styles of dance. We had contemporary, jazz, tap, b-boying, hip hop, choreo, everything. Actor, we had a couple actors in there too. And so I had quite a few people that came up to us after the show and just said, like, I stopped doing art, I stopped doing this kind of stuff because of life and because I got to grow up and da-da-da-da. And they're like, like, you really showed me that, like, we don't have to just give up our art, we can still do it. Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot of people that I think were inspired to kind of like, doesn't really matter how old you get, and there's bills you got to pay and adulting life, but I mean, if art's important to you, man, do it. Like, keep doing it, right? So that was kind of what hit home to me, and it was like, every second was worth it. So yeah,
nice. Yeah, the Artist Within is a really cool experience for me. This is kind of like my introduction to dancing choreography and performing on a stage, and my introduction to being down with B.O.S., right? So it's just this wild experience, right? Like, just being in the room and being like the person who's behind, just being overloaded with choreography way before everybody else is overloaded, right? And just like drowning in choreography, right? Yeah, there's some routines. 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll be finishing like the first section of a dance, and I'll just get that one section, and this is my limit. I can't learn any more, and then we'll learn the second one, and then the third, and I'll just be like so behind. And it was ill experience, like to really just do something like so new and just to like really give it a shot. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Like just being on stage and like being part of this is something like that I saw Dangerous Goods and Define Movement. They did a showcase piece, maybe like a 7-minute, 10-minute piece collabo where Dangerous Goods, a b-boy crew, a battle crew, a breaking crew, did some hip hop house choreography and like this routine with a storyline years ago at like CCAT's anniversary jam or something. And I just remember like seeing, I think it was Rude Kyle, seeing him on stage and like he just like circle walked and made eye contact with the audience. I just recognized it as like, oh, this is a battle dancer, but he's doing like this type of show. And I just thought, man, I would love to be in something like that one day, or it was some kind of dream to be in something like that. And like then it was like, I think that one part in the show where it just hit me, like we're doing this show, we're like partway through and I'm just like, oh man, this is it right here. This is that thing I dreamed about years ago, but it's not a 7-minute piece, it's not a 10-minute piece, this is a 3-hour show where you know, and I'm part of it, right? I get to be the guy who does head spins. So it was a really dope experience, and I learned a lot, like training with other styles of dancers. You know, like I learned if you're gonna dance all day long, you should bring like food and drinks.
Yo, and hide your food because people find it and they eat your stuff. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and I don't know. I feel like I never did that in b-boying before that. Like that's something that really hit me hard. Like, oh, bring food to practice.
Passing out backstage.
Yeah,
Actually.
yeah, super fun experience.
So how did you guys get involved with a B.O.S. dance team? Like, how did that coalesce into what it was? Because I was watching you guys dance for a mess on Saturday, and I was like, whoa, that's crazy. They just came together, and like this is like, you know, of course you guys worked on the show together and everything like that. But how did like each of you guys get into the crew?
For me, I mean, like I've known Genie for a while. We've known in passing, and I've been at events, and that's the thing. Like I've always been around the scene. But in terms of actually jumping into battles, I pulled back again, like I said, about 6 years ago. I started teaching, and it was very career focused in the way of kind of taking over a studio and teaching a lot, and I mean money, right? Bills, you know, life, right? So for me, I put my training and stuff kind of on the back burner, and I also kind of went from because I started training with Dangerous Goods way back in the day. And then when I pulled back for a bit, then kind of transitioned into doing more kind of crew choreography and that kind of stuff. So I trained with Wayne Santos for a bit, and then was invited to kind of train with CCAT, which is a dope experience. Same kind of thing. And then kind of went really into kind of my career as a teacher, because I had all these skills for choreography now that I didn't have before, because I was just a freestyle dancer to begin with. And so really focusing on that, and kind of still in the scene, still coming to see jams, and kind of more as a spectator, because it's something I still love. And then Genie was out at the Steinbach Festival, where our studio takes part in, kind of like Manitoba Dance Festival, you know, those things. And so he was one of the adjudicators, and I mean, we had known each other, we had seen each other, and so I was like, yo, what's up, how's it going? And so he had come to me afterwards and kind of just said, yo, like your kids are dope, like that's the real shit, like that's sick, right? And so I was like, yo, thanks, because I mean, it's hard to really stay true to kind of your roots in the studio world, because I didn't grow up in the studio, right? So for me as a hip hop dancer, as a hip hop choreographer now, it's hard to not go mainstream, right, and stick to kind of what you want to do, especially when you're teaching styles that not everyone likes. Like, so I'm sure you understand that too, right? Everyone's into the hip hop choreo, right? Where when I first started teaching, it was b-boying classes, right? And not everyone likes to do that because it's a lot of work and it's hard work, right? So did that, and then so Genie afterwards said, yo, like you should come and check out our B.O.S. crew rehearsals, come train with us for a bit. And I was like, oh, yo, maybe this is my opportunity to kind of get back into things for me, and showed up to a B.O.S. crew rehearsal, and I was thinking that it was, you know, going to have to take a while, because when I was with CCAT, it was like, yo, like you did time before all of a sudden you're very scoped out in that way, where it was very, very chill, very relaxed environment. And I remember the first thing when I walked into the B.O.S. rehearsal, it was a year and a half ago, it was like, the first thing that we did was a cypher, and I was like, "Yo, like this is where I'm meant to be, yeah." Because it's a mix of both passions, right? I started as a freestyle dancer. So the fact that we do that for one of us and that we're challenging ourselves all the time doing that hits home to me. But at the same time, we also do choreography, which has also become something I love to do as well, right? So it was an awesome mix of both. And yeah, I mean, that was then I was like, yo, Genie, I have a wife. She's a really good dancer. Could she come try it out? And he was like, yeah, man, bring her out. So, and I mean, she can hold her own. So she got on, and it's super cool because it's something that, I mean, I'm married now. So it's something that my wife and I can do together, which I find really, really dope because we both share that passion, and to train for ourselves again is dope. That's how I started. Boss Crew for life.
B.O.
You know, double S.
Stallz, how did you get introduced into the whole Boss Crew thing?
For Boss Crew, basically, I dabbled in like choreo a little bit, just taking lessons from 393, a few workshops like wherever I could find. Not too much, but just a little bit, just like trying something out in my comfort zone like a little while ago. And I think I had auditioned for Boss like one of their auditions, just trying it out. That was years ago, and it wasn't until The Artist Within, where Genie actually reached out to me to come on and be part of the production. I think since then we did a couple performances together, something like that. We always see each other around anyways. But it was really The Artist Within where Genie kind of asked me if I was interested in being a part of the show. It's going to feature so many different artists, and just how big this production was going to be, right? So I don't know. I feel like my style, I'm always kind of comfortable being a little bit uncomfortable, like doing something that nobody else is doing, or doing something might be weird, right? Like, so going into a room and being like the only person or the lowest level, like being a white belt in choreo in a room full of blue belts, like I'm okay. Like, you know, I could hang in that space for a long time until I move up the ranks, right? So yeah, I wanted to try it out, and that was the main thing. I think being part of Artists Within, and then from there, just vibing out with the team and like doing performances and getting opportunities to teach. You know, they're in the process of kind of rebuilding Boss, so they wanted to, ask me if I wanted to be part of it and not just be part of the Artists Within, and to actually, represent the team. So, that's basically how I started with Boss.
Genie, what do you think about these guys being a part of the crew, and how has that played a role in like how Boss has developed so far?
Yeah, I'm his favorite. So
the short white guy, yeah.
It's actually like it's kind of like a dream come true. It's trippy to me every time. Like I was actually like I was talking to Dexter about this earlier today. Like every time I walk in a room, and whether it was the Artist Within, like during rehearsals, I walk in and like I see Brett, I see Stallz, I see Jonelle, I see Maribeth, and I'm like, what the heck is going on here, right? Like, because again, like it was just a team in rebuilding phase, and now I feel like I just got like a room full of all-stars, right? And I'm just like, I don't know what happened. Like this team just snapped, and all of a sudden like, there was all this talent in the room, right? So like it's really cool because there's so many different perspectives, and for me, as again, a teacher choreographer, it's really cool to kind of also get to pull back and learn from these people, right? Like instead of doing everything on this team, I get to like go to the back of the room and practice and like learn from Stallz, and like he teaches an entire breaking class to the team that I could probably never do to the level that he does. Or Brett does choreography and brings his brand of leadership, and Tracy teaching, and Maribeth coming in and doing some work. Like it's not only been cool to have this immense amount of talent, but also just to have leaders who are experienced, right? Like Brett, Stallz, Maribeth, Jonelle, these cats who have 10, 15 years in the game, right? Like guys have been at it for longer than I have probably, right? So it's really cool to have like just new leaders, fresh talent, and something to inspire the next generation of this team coming up. Because right now, as much as we're here, and we're also kind of considered the old heads on the team too, right? Like there's a lot of young cats on Boss. Like we're like 32 members, right? Like there's there's a lot of 14, 15, 16-year-olds who are like really dope and like need
crazy.
and like really need role models, right? It's not just going to be me. Like, you know, some cats like Patrick who like really look up to Stallz, and you know, Colin and even Jaden back in the day who look up to Brett, and it's really cool for me to just step back, get to learn from them, and have other role models on the team, right? So I don't know, man. We got this all-star team thing going on, right? And it's really dope, and let's just keep it moving. Plus, we just won a battle, so dope.
Yeah.
Well, now we come to you know, we kind of fast forward, and then we're here at Dance for MS. Like in that moment when you guys are like battling and everything, what was kind of going through your heads as far as like you coming off like that, a lot of time off, like entering battles or whatever, and then Stallz, you're mostly known for just entering b-boy jams, and then Jonel's like the all styles like king or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, how did you guys feel about doing that whole thing together and like, you know, like that whole experience?
I don't know. For me, to be straight honest, I was scared shitless. Yeah, I was like, I haven't done this in life for so long. And you sit there and you watch like these younger cats that are in the game now, and it's like, these guys are crazy, like, and I'm getting older. Like, I can do this. Screw this, right? And so I was didn't really actually sign up. Genie kind of just said, you're doing this. I was like, all right, dope. And it was kind of the push I needed to kind of jump back into it full swing. And then I think it was just, in terms of the three of us, we had a good, because we had worked together already for the production. I think we understood how each other works and what our strengths and what our weaknesses are, kind of idea. And so, I mean, like, we only prepared maybe 3 hours, 4 hours.
Yeah, it was two practices.
Two short practices that it was just quickly whip something together and like, let's just do it. And it was just communication, right? So when we were in the battle, it was like, who wants this song, or who wants this, or should we use this set now? And like there was good communication between us. And I mean, even when we picked our people that came with us, like just communicating with them. And I mean, we taught our what's his name, Josh from Project. Yeah. We taught him a set, and he jumped in, and he jumped in right away. Like it was super fun, and it reminded me, and this is something for all the other dancers out there listening, right? Regardless of age, it's like you kind of have to get out of your own head a little bit, right? Because me, same thing. It was like, I sit there, and it's like, I used to do this. I can do this again. But it kind of never happened. And it's like, you just got to remember, it's like, really, why do you do what you do? Why do you, like, are you there to win? Or are you there to have fun, right? And kind of as soon as we kind of things, after that first round and after things got going, I was like, I was just loving it. It's like, I'm back, and I'm going to have to start training and hurting myself a little bit more and being sore again. And I love it. So.
Yeah, Dance for MS was super fun, man. Like, right away when we started practicing, we had just done Artists Within, so like we're already vibing out. Like, there's already that chemistry. Like, it was pretty easy to get together for practice and to put together the routines that we did. Like for me, I was battling every weekend. I had not been practicing too consistently, but like the year before, things balanced out where I was practicing very, very consistently. So from there, I got invited to lots and lots of the invite-only battles this year. And I was invited to a 7 to Smoke. And my mantra coming into that 7 to Smoke, like maybe 4 weeks earlier, was that like maybe I'm not as polished and practiced as I am right now, but like all the hours I've put in over my lifetime, like all the hours I put in just last year, like I got the experience and I had the mindset to do well, right? So on the 7 to Smoke in Winnipeg here, I did better than I expected. And then I was dropping my girlfriend off to Banff, so we went on a road trip, right? So like I did a practice in Saskatoon, just chilled with the Alpha Kids, so shout out to Alpha Kids in Sask. Then me and Carl from Alpha Kids, we entered a 2-on-2 b-boy battle in Calgary, like on the Saturday. Then the next Saturday, I was in Saskatoon doing a 1-on-1 all styles. And then this Saturday was Dance for MS. So I was just like really had my XP up, right? I was battling, like really comfortable battling, right? So There was that, and I'm just like an experienced battler. Like I've been in my team, I could say I believe I was the one who's done the most number of battles. So just that communication like is easy to structure what routines we were gonna put out or what dancer we were gonna send out for what song, right? Like, yeah, we just had that vibe of communication and like it was a super fun time. Like, shout out to Josh. I think that was my first time meeting him, but
He's super cool.
Yeah, he just vibed with us as soon as we picked him up from the Pokemon choice, right? Like, Brett grabbed him and went to the corner or whatever, and then like I don't know what it was, and then he comes back like a minute later and he's like, okay, he knows the routine.
Yeah, he was all for it, man. Like,
big shout out to Josh. Big shout out to Josh.
Next gen, like he's a heavy hitter.
Yeah, and that's my highlight of the night. Like, we recruited this guy from the battle, and he's already part of this teamwork we're doing right now. Like, yeah, I thought that was so dope.
I thought that team was really cool too. Like, I think Ian was in that team. The guys you battled to capture Josh.
Oh yeah,
Ian and Raph.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
My first time meeting those guys too.
And well, going back to what Bretton said about like, you know, why do you do what you do? Like, because as we know, as like when you enter battle contests, like most of the time you lose. Like, it's not always like you're not always gonna win. And like
one winner, right?
like you and if you base your value always on like the win or the loss, I mean, you're gonna be like going kind of crazy. Like, and it's just a learning process when you're dancing, right? Because you see so many contests now, and then like I guess people think that like to be good you have to win all the time, and that's not always the case. Like and for me, and I'm sure it's the same with you guys, or similar with you guys, is that the reason why you dance, like the reason why you dance in the first place, is because you love doing it. You love the music. It makes you feel some kind of way, and you have to express it through your movements. And so when I was out there yesterday, like on Saturday, it was just like, you know, I'm just gonna have fun and just do me. I'm gonna just do whatever it is that I do. That's me and how I feel, and whatever the outcome may be with the judges or whatnot. I'm just gonna have as much fun as possible, and you know, enjoy the atmosphere, because it really is just a privilege to be dancing around those kinds of people, and you know, with the DJ there, and like, you know, like if you think like either you could have the event or not have the event, right? What would you rather have? And also, like, wouldn't you be grateful if you had an event like that? Like, because I know even like you guys have done it for a long time, when there was no events, like there's no, like, maybe there's a b-boy
just
battle,
b-boy battles back in the
and
day,
then that was it, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you just, if you wanted to go and enter the cypher and like in a b-boy battle, you do that or whatever, because I remember doing that, like locking in a cypher. And
If we even rewind back to the day where it's like it was Break for Bread once a year and that was it, right?
Yeah.
All the b-boys look forward to that one jam every year, right? So everybody's going hard training every day just for Break for Bread, and now it's like we have like a jam a month, right? Like every month is something, or every 2 months is something.
I'd like to see more just straight b-boying jams again. It would be sick. I know that's something that I've thought of doing. Like, we run our All Styles out in Steinbach, but I've thought about it, because it has totally been a flip, right? And I think unfortunately, a big part of that is just there's more all-style dancers out there. So it's a little easier to run an all-styles jam versus running a b-boy jam, right?
Yeah, so like, sorry, I'm just gonna jump back and forth here, but that's what I was trying to mention to Kane and Draco.
Yeah,
Uh,
motion.
I was like, this is how I think when I go out there, but most of the time it's just like subconscious. Like, I'm trying to be on beat, then after that it's just trying to flow with however I want to go with everything in the music. And I was telling them, like, yeah, man, you don't always win. Like, you can't always expect, like, well, you should always want to win, but you shouldn't base your whole value on the win.
And that's with anything, right?
Like, yeah, like, I mean, with your integrity too, like, okay, do you want to just do everything it takes to win? If you want, then you could do that. Or do you want to, like, again, these are two polar opposites, or do you want to just stick to your style and what you do and just be happy with that? Of course, there's a bunch of middle ground and all this kind of stuff. But that's just the way I really want them to learn from my experience. I'm sure you're the same, like, this is what I made mistakes like this. hopefully you don't make the same mistakes. I mean, if you do, you're gonna learn, because like I'm learning,
Yeah.
But that's just the whole process that I was trying to relate to them.
That was probably one of my my favorite part. Like, yeah, we won. It was awesome. It was sweet, and it was like super hyped to come back out of a retirement in quotation marks, and come back with a win, which is, I mean, pretty sweet. It's just like a story, right? It was awesome. But for me, it was seeing our students. Like, so I had what do we have there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We had like six of my students there, which is pretty dope, because I mean they're going to be the next generation. Like, they're getting so good, and so I mean, shout out to my students,
Let's go,
students, and free agency crew, free agency. So. So I mean, like, cause they're training like crazy, training hard, all that kind of stuff, which is sick. And we've been really training with them on more just battle etiquette and that kind of stuff, and really just kind of teaching them the whole value of, like, don't put your worth as a dancer in the win, right? Because I mean, if you do that, you're just gonna beat yourself up when you don't win, and then it's not fun anymore, right? And it takes the passion away from what you do. And I mean, I've seen our dancers grow like crazy, even just in that freestyle kind of world, kind of idea. Like, Danny's gonna be the next freaking
big shout out to Danny
Cole, man. Like, she's gonna be a next heavy hitter. Jeremy, right? He's got a super goofy, silly style, but man,
Jeremy puts on a show.
Kid's original, man. Like, and he's out in Morden, so I teach him out in Morden. Slice and dice, Slice and dice, man. One of my youngest battlers, right? And so what I love about watching him and them is that it's like that. He doesn't care. You know what I mean? Like, he just goes out and throws down, which is awesome. And out of everything that happened there, it was when I was watching our students battle. It was on the 3-on-3s. I think it was actually against you guys. Right? And so they Good Fun Gang, right? And so it was so funny. It was free agency versus Good Fun Gang, and so they were going out. You could tell they were nervous, right? But then after, there was a moment when Draco had come out, right? And he had come through, and he's waving and popping, right? Hitting his stuff. And then he backed up, and then you came out to take him on, right? To answer. And instead of him being like, oh man, like, yo, I suck. He stood there staring at you with the biggest grin on his face, because he was watching you at what you do. And he was like inspired. So even though he knew he was getting beat, he was like, yo, this is like the coolest thing in the world, right? Like, it was super. And that's what I thought was super inspiring, because I was like, yo, that's like, cause that's the right mindset right there, right? Because they're for them, it's like, yo, they're battling some of their idols in Winnipeg, right? In the styles that they do, and so like shout out to them for, I mean, jumping in, because it's a scary thing. Oh yeah, right?
It takes some courage for sure. It's like, if you guys were to battle some of your idols, I'm sure that would be an interesting.
Oh, totally.
Like kind of like a fearful moment as well, because you're like, oh my god, I've watched this guy on YouTube or whatever, or like I've known about this guy for so long, or this girl or whoever it is, and you're just like, damn, But it was funny when me and Draco were battling on the 1-on-1. I had just spoken to him right before that. I was like, this is what I do. I try to like stop it, and then I was like, okay, let's see if we can do it. Let's see if we can catch it. And then like in the middle of my my freestyle, like to the second song, looking for the perfect beat.
Yeah.
I was like, oh. And I looked at him for a moment. And he's just like, oh man, like he's kind of like, oh damn, like I'm gonna lose, but also, oh damn, like he's out, like like doing his thing, like and like that's inspiring him. So I'm glad I was able to do that that night.
You're lucky he didn't take those skills against you right away, dog.
Right. Well, and that's what I was worried about, right? Because I mean, I had been talking to them, because I mean, free agency crew is super. I mean, new crew, right? Like, it's all my new up and coming battlers, right? And so I've been talking to them, and I'm like, yo, one of the things that you don't see a lot of is in these crew battles are these sets, right? And so I was working like crazy on getting them to have that flow and that understanding of when someone jumps in, jump in with them and have that, because you don't want to do a set where it's just like 5, 6, 7, and go into it, right? It's got to flow. And so I was talking to Jonelle and Stallz about it. I was like, yo, like, what happens if we get put up against each other, man? They know like all of my secrets. I was like talking to Genie. I was like, yo, I gotta start holding some stuff back, because Like I'm in trouble soon. Like,
Well, I always find it interesting with that as far as information like that, distributing that, because I feel like sometimes you could even say like what you're gonna do. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that, but sometimes they won't even be able to stop it. It's kind of like I kind of compare it to like boxing or like, oh, it's Mayweather. You know what Mayweather is gonna do, but can you stop Mayweather from doing what he's gonna do?
Yep.
Like you may not be able to, right? So in that case, I take that mindset and I'll teach you everything, man. I'll teach you everything. If you want to learn it, I'll teach you. If you want to take it, you could take it. And if you're battling me, I'm gonna use it. So let's see if you could actually.
and I'll do it better. So
see what you can do. I kind of want to talk about this. I'm doing a rewind for sure, but who's the illest? And we're talking about a lot of Genie's events, but but like no, that was an awesome event, and one of the highlights. There's quite a few, but one of the highlights for me, and I couldn't stop thinking about it for a long time, was Miggy. Like Miggy, like ultimate beat killer, and
He's
this
crazy.
is like the first one where the first battle that he's entered that was like more of like more out there, more I guess
It was
more
his first one.
public.
It was his first one-on-one.
Yeah, like I've seen him battle like in like smaller little battles, like
Rolly's things, yeah.
Rolly's little battles that he had me judge, and I think Almar was there as well, and Jonel. But yeah, this was the first one like where a lot of people got to see him. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, man. So we're on this topic right now of like the next gen people.
I was like,
yeah, man. It's like for us being where we are in the scene right now, it's kind of scary and very upsetting at the same time, right? Like it's scary to know like at that age you can have that skill, and upsetting that like, okay, well, so now it's not just us anymore, right? Like
I wasted 10 years of my
right?
life.
Like, oh man. But no, like real big props to him. Like he pretty much just went straight to the finals and cruised there, and then J-Rec put him to sleep. But yeah, it's still like it was really dope. And like that, even talking about that event, the highlight, like you're talking about him being an ultimate beat killer. But when we put Alexa on the stage and had them like dance to her beatboxing, like he was manipulating her sounds, right? Like and even, like the crazy thing about the way he goes about it is like he's dancing to sounds that like, yo, if it wasn't him, we probably would have never heard that sound before, right? And like the way he flows his patterns. So anyways, big shout out to Miggy. Yeah. I was trying to get him into the 7 to Smoke at Downtown Moves, and then he kept being all wishy-washy about it. But yeah, and then he won the 7 to Smoke with the King of the Hill.
King of the Hill
battle. So he beat me in the finals.
He did beat
which goes back to why I'm.
Honestly, I thought that was pretty close. I thought it was. Pretty
Yeah,
close.
we did a little tiebreaker, right, which was cool. So yeah, what?
They should have timed it.
Oh yeah. Tracy's here now, y'all.
Tracy showed up.
Tracy's
What's up,
here now,
guys?
y'all. So they weren't really timing the battles. So like by the time we were at that, we were all obviously super tired. So I went into little 1-2 thing to a little Molly Percocet, you know what I'm saying? And then I went on the floor and then pretended to read a magazine because I was so tired. But it was funny, right? Because like again, like I just want to put on a show, right? So, but then Miggy came in and went in for like a minute and a half and like
5.
and like 5 minutes, like, but again, like showing like the skill of his like the extent of his stamina, right? So yeah, so he took the W, and it's cool. We got some cool prizes. And,
But I think like we were talking about that it's like scary and we don't like it, but at the same time, I think that's what pushes the older gen to keep pushing, right? Because it's like, yo, if I slow down now, like I'm out.
I'm about to get
like
surprised,
you know what I'm talking about? And it's kind of like that thing, like even when we were at the Battle for MS, like when we were first paired up against the guys from
Project.
Yeah, from Project.
Okay.
Right? The young guys, it was like, yo, man, like, I know these guys are good, right? It's like, man, like, first round, I was like, oh, right? So it was like, but I think it's good, right? Because it keeps the older guys on our toes. It's like, yo, we have to keep pushing because they're freaking right behind us and coming fast, too.
Well, I think it's also a true testament of how the culture has changed as well across our lifetime, if you want to call it that. Like, because you mentioned us being old. I remember Bretton, you were like, you know what, man, we're old now. Like, you know how I figured this out? And then you were talking about like some kind of like the music they were playing, and like you mentioned like some kind of other music. You're like, what about this music? Like, oh, I don't even know about. Like the kids didn't even know about what you were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, because I used to DJ too, weddings and stuff, and I remember being at we were doing a safe grad. And so we had thrown out the 90s track or whatever, and they just kind of stood there and they looked at us, and it was like, oh, okay. So we flipped to the next song. We put on some Miley Cyrus or Party in the USA or something like that. Yeah. And they went off. And the DJ and I beside me, we looked, because we were two DJs there, and we looked at each other and we're like, it's happened. You know what I mean? Like, we're full circle. Even clothing styles, right, is coming full swing back into the kind of 90s with the
I saw Bell Bottoms
chokers. Tracy's wearing a choker.
Yeah, but I saw Bell Bottoms the other day.
Shout out to the 90s choker.
No, it's a serious problem. Like, even in my classes, I'm sure Angelo, you see this too. Like, just last week I played Smooth Criminal, and I was so excited to hear it. And I was like, and I'm running around the room, and the kids are just waiting for me to stop. Like, they're just like, I was like, what do you guys know about this track? They're just like, Smooth what? I'm like, no. Okay, fine.
You gotta play that.
Yeah, all right. So, all right, cool, fine. Here's some Drake, and we'll call it a day.
But the thing that I was getting at was like, all of you guys have had at least a little part in that kind of culture coming about, and I mean I think it's good that you should recognize that you've done that, because sometimes we, I guess, downplay how our influence like reaches people, and so, you know, I think it's good like people like that are like beat killing and stuff like that, and like advancing to this level quite quickly. But it's also like almost like a tribute to like, okay, these guys have set the path. Like, you was part of CCAT. Stallz, you breaking for this whole like a long ass time. Genie, you keep like holding events and keep going with your crew and everything, like, because it takes a discipline to do that, right? You could stop at any moment because you'd be like, oh, it's too hard, like I lose at events all time or whatever, or like I have like adult things I have to do, or you know, all that type of stuff. And so yeah, this is just me saying, yeah, good job, guys. You guys contributed. Yeah.
Yo, even on that tip, like, to get like an interesting perspective, right? Like, so, like, we got Dexter in the building here, like, from Montreal, like, and you know, he was co-hosting and being super dope on the mic, but like, this was his first time kind of like seeing a battle in Winnipeg, and probably even seeing a battle. So like, if you want to even talk about that, like, what it was like to see a battle and to see what you saw, like, you want to give some light on that.
First things first, hi everybody, I'm from Montreal. What's up, Winnipeg? I'm in the city. It was really cool for me because I was looking and I was having this conversation with the guys today at a little sesh that we had.
Sesh. They don't say sesh out there.
We learned this word in Winnipeg.
I'm sure they do. It's just
I'm going to a sesh.
I was at a sesh today and we were talking about it. And I was talking about the youth, and I was so surprised at the age demographic at these events. I was like, this is nuts. Like, we have an all-female panel of judges at this Dance for MS, right? Which one of the judges is over 40 years old. I'm not going to specify who it is for the Storm's sake. Storm.
Shout out to Storm.
Love you. Storm surpassed us in age, guy.
We have that, and then we have participants who are the age of 14, 15, if I'm not mistaken.
My youngest is 10.
So 10 years old. Man. Like, we're going over a span of 32 years. So back to what Brett was saying is, like, of course, the youth are not going to know the songs like Smooth Criminal or something from the 90s. But it's super cool to see that what this event can do. And yes, it's for MS, for example, this particular event. But just looking at how these kids were battling and giving it their all and throwing themselves out there and not really caring about what the result was, just having fun. And I think that's what the main goal of all this is yes, you want to dance, yes, you want to win, but think about the experience that you're getting right here and right now. And it's something I wanted to tell everybody on the mic, but Genie was hogging it, so I couldn't really tell him. But it's okay, you know. That's something I really wanted to say while I was on this podcast right here with you guys, though.
Yeah.
Dope battle. Dope battle.
Yo, Boss Crew hold it down though. You know, like, man.
Yeah, this Dance for MS, you really saw the young gen. You saw people who weren't battling, like, do their first battle, or people who just started battling do their second battle. Like, I thought that was really dope. I was so stoked for the one-on-one, seeing how many new names there were. Like, I was in Calgary trying to sign up for it, and oh wait, this thing's full. Let's see who's on here, and it's like a bunch of names who I haven't seen battle before. So I thought that was so ill.
So what do you guys think about the variety of events now? Like, do you guys want to still see more b-boy battles or breaking battles? Do you guys want to see specific battles like hip hop battles, hip hop freestyle battles? Like, what is it that you guys want to see come out? Because I know, again, Genie, you've held so many events already, and do you guys want to see anybody step up and hold an event and go ahead and do that? Or
I think more events the better, right? More opportunity is good. I mean, I'd love to see more b-boying events. I would love to also see a locking event or a popping battle, right? But I mean, until the scene grows a little bit, I don't know if that's a hard one to do. I know you were talking about on another podcast, I forget with who, but you guys were talking about that whole idea.
Well, it's interesting. Carson just messaged me today. Carson from Holy Funk. He was just chilling at the battle as well. And he practices a lot with Kyosin, one of the Good Funk members, the new Good Funk members.
Hey.
But he's like, "Do you want to hold a popping and locking event?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, I'm down. Like, I'm down to do it." And he's like, "I don't know about like how many like lockers there are here or poppers there are." I'm like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, I'm not even really worried about that. I mean, we could go with like top 8 right away and like do it and still be a good show, right? Because I don't know if you guys noticed, there's been more variety within the all styles as far as, you know, different styles.
Yeah.
Like people will throw in some locking, and you see like the glimmer of like the potential of people growing within a certain style. And like now you have like Shaq, myself, Mark, Kyosin, and all these other people who I guess don't brand themselves as lockers, but they do locking styles. Like like you walk into Cindy Clausen, and I don't know if you guys seen this, but like some choreo groups or whatever they do, practicing for debuts or whatever or parties, they do a locking routine, and like where do you guys learn that from? Well, probably from like YouTube and stuff, right? So there's people out there. If you put the infrastructure there, I believe people will come and rise to the challenge and be like, oh, this is a cool thing. I'll try to do this. Like you see that with I think House Dance as well, with Lester holding his sessions and having that available to people. And so I think if we were to do something like that, it would be an awesome thing. I would want to see a hip hop freestyle battle, like and playing like even 90s hip hop, you know, because that's really like the original music for that particular style, right? And so it would be interesting, right? Like different music, different feels, different moves to the dances. So
honestly, as I sit here, because my mind's going and I'm an event guy, whatever, I'm like, you know what? I feel like the way for us to break into that world is to start the education to the public as well as the dancers who come to watch these events, right? So right now, like All Styles is blowing up and B-Boy's kind of tagging along with that, but we can get specific, right? So right now it's like if a song plays, you know, whatever, we'll stay with Smooth Criminal. Smooth Criminal plays, and you know, like Maribeth comes out, she starts whacking, and then Angelo comes out and he's popping. Then the crowd just goes, okay, they're dancing, right? But like, what if we had like specific rounds? This is going to be the whacking battle round, or this is going to be the popping battle round. So at least the crowd and the other dancers know, okay, this is this, this is this, this is this. The MC gets on the mic and says, you're gonna see this type of battle now, right? So then everybody gets more educated on what is what, how this is done, and then that way those dancers can also do their thing, right? So like it could be a top 4 of, you know, you just get 4 dancers of each specific style and you go from there, right? So like, you know, maybe we'll do it for like Halloween or something on October 31st, on 2017 at the Graffiti Gallery. Tickets $10.
Teaser.
But no, like that could be a thing, right? So it's like, okay, cool. Like here's this popping battle, and Angelo and Shaq will do their thing. Okay, here's this whacking battle, and you know, Tracy and Maribeth will do their thing, right? Oh, here's this Afro battle, and Jen and Tracy will do her thing, right? So whatever, right? So like we can do
I
with
love
that.
that I'm in so many of these battles.
Right, there we go. You know what I'm saying? We can do a Grooves battle, and you know, Dexter can come out and do his thing against
Millie Rock.
Dexter's
Got a good Millie
Dexter's
Rock.
got a vicious Millie Rock.
Yeah,
You
so
you guys can't see, but he's doing it right now. I'm just playing. Yeah, no, he's doing it right now. Right. So like maybe that's the way to do it, right? So like building up from scratch, right? Like when Bob started the all style scene, again, it was from scratch. It was just a tiny idea. Like it was a small thing that grew to the giant Believe the Hype Jam, which inspired me to continue it. And now that he's gone, we can continue these events, right? So I think, again, just going on the Bob father and what he did, like just starting small and starting to educate the public on it until it blows up the way it should, right? Because I think, like Brett was saying, the scene is growing, that the dancers are out there. Now we know they're out there. It's just about nerves and getting them in the door, right? And the way to get them in the door is to have these events for them to consistently see it, right? And if there's a lot, then they have no excuse. Oh, okay, I'll do the next one. Okay, cool. I'll hold you to that because it's in 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying, right? So yeah, let's just do it that way.
I mean, and if you run a jam good and properly, man, people will come. People will come, right? Like I think that's one thing. It's one thing I love about B.O.S. That's one thing that I think we have a I don't know what you call it.
Synergy.
Yeah, good word.
Brr.
Synergy. We have this sesh.
A sitter sesh.
we have a way that we run our battles, and I know we have ours kind of before I joined B.O.S. We had our Exco All Style in Steinbach, which is kind of my first battle. I've always wanted to run one, and so we got that. So we brought that to the table now, and it's under the umbrella of B.O.S. because I mean, we're a family, you know, we do everything together, you know what I'm talking about? So, I mean, if we crash and burn, we all crash and burn together. So it's awesome. And, but I mean, so like one thing that Genie and I always do, we're always talking, whenever we do a new event or we're always trying to up each other on our events in terms of what we do. And so it's driving me nuts because when we came out with our Exco All Style, it was like, yo, $300 or what was it? $300 cash prize, and everyone was like, "Yo, that's like the biggest amount anyone's ever had." This was 3 years ago, and then all of a sudden, then Genie's next battle, he upped it to like $350. He was like, "Dang it, bro! Like, what are you doing, right?" And then I think Driven then upped it to $350, and came back to Steinbach. It was like, "Hey, well, $400," and then it was like, "Oh, $400." It's like, man, I have 400 in iPads. Like, bro, we're gonna win here. And so I mean, like, we're always challenging ourselves within our crew, which is I find really really cool. To kind of up the quality of what we're doing, because our battles, one thing I really like about them is they're all inclusive. Right, so for us, it's like we want that outside community to come in and experience what we do, right? And so there is a showism, if that's a word, to what we do in terms of production and kind of how we put it out there for not necessarily the dancers, but for the people that come to watch. And that's something we always got to think about, right? I think a lot of times with some of the smaller battles, it's all about just the dancers, and the dancers are awesome and that's sick, and you want to keep the dancers happy, but they're not the ones that are paying the ticket, the admission to come see it, right? So that's just a tip. But something that we've found that just works out super good. Like our Steinbach battle is, I mean, we're up to 600-700 people that come watch it. And I mean, it's only been 3 years in the running, right? Genie's got battles that have been, I mean, MS is what, 8 years. So I mean, when we kind of start an event, we hope to start them for the long haul kind of idea to keep them around. But even that, like, there's a lot of work that goes into these events. So yeah.
Toy.
Well, I keep harping on Genie, but like you're the one who's like always visible. As like the thing that I wanted to say was with that event that you actually canceled, I thought that was more ahead of its time than people.
Yo, we were actually just talking about that the other day.
It's kind of funny, but it's true because I thought about that battle. I don't know if you guys know who Monster Pop is. He's from Montreal, and he organizes a jam called Jack of All Trades. And then he invites people from out of town and all that. It's a big thing, and then they do a format where like you got to lead with the crown of your head or something, or you got to do like undulation, like wave style when you battle each other. Like they'll pick out rounds where you do that. And with that battle that you were setting up, I thought I was like, oh man, this is like they're not ready. Like people are in Winnipeg, I don't think they're ready for this yet. Like later down the road, they are, because I'm like, but you're like, Genie's like way ahead of everybody. It's like,
Yo, we launched it, we did it, we tried it.
The Yu-Gi-Oh one, it was
we tried. It was so funny.
I made the graphic, took many hours.
Literally, Tracy made the like we were ready to go with it, and like I wrote this thing from scratch. It was like 4 pages, 19 fonts.
Try explaining that to someone, right?
And I was like, it's this, and then this, and like again, like at the end of the day, like man, there was life points, and put the guy in defense mode and attack mode, and there's a coach, and he has 2 monsters, and all this, right, just to try and get like Yu-Gi-Oh, whatever. and we tried to try it in practice, right? So
and oddly enough, I was the only one that remembered the rules, and I don't even know anything about Yu-Gi-Oh.
Right, so we were all in. We brought like Stallz came in, Jonelle came in, Bryce came in, right, to try this thing out, and a couple boss people. And we all went into teams of 3. That's the way it was. And we tried this thing, and like we're like, hey, we played the music, and then it was like, okay, stop. Wait, what is this again? Right? Like, what's going on again? Okay, no. So you're here. Okay, wait. So you lost. Okay, so you lost 500 life points. Okay, wait. How many life points do you have again? And it was like we just stopped, and we're like,
maybe we'll hold off.
Right? So I'm like, yo, if we can't even get it, trying to do this demo, like, guy, but yeah, then we're not ready, right? So like, yeah, so we'll table it. It's in my documents folder as I even continue to try other formats or whatever. But yeah, so whatever, we'll try it eventually. I'll simplify. Brad was telling me to simplify literally just the other day. Where I was like, yo, it could work. Just take away 2 out of the 4 pages and it'll work, right? Like, but
trial and error.
Yeah,
not everything works.
Yeah. No, when we do finally do the Yu-Gi-Oh format, it'll work. It'll be super.
It'll be huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
Oh no!
It's a bigly battle. Everybody says so.
Why you guys gotta taint the podcast though?
It's fantastic. Everybody says so.
All right.
Huge.
Bretton, when you started dancing, like, how did that the whole thing start with you? Because like we know like where you're at right now and everything, but what was the beginning like for you? Like, how was the landscape back in the day?
When I started, when I started, there weren't many white guys in it. So when I started, it was literally, honestly, if it was not for Bob, shout out to Bob, because if it wasn't for him, I would not own a studio. I would not be in the dance culture. I would not be in the hip hop culture. Like he was kind of one that, it was like a one-off. Someone knew someone, a white kid from South End, Winnipeg, where, I mean, they don't dance a lot down there. There's a lot of country kids with their trucks.
Going out for a rip
and spinning out in them ditches there. Whatever. It's fun. It's fun. It's actually, it is pretty fun. I've done it a couple times. So whatever. I can't hate on it all totally.
Right, but
it is fun though. And so, I got the opportunity there were no classes at the time. I didn't grow up in the studio either. Because again, at that time I was like, man, I'm not going to go to the studio and learn whatever. And so it was just, again, through a friend, actually the previous owner of X Company, Eddie Miller, who he was like, yo, I know this guy that breaks, and he's got a pretty good crew. And he's like, I'll put in a word and see if you can go train with them, kind of idea. Because he was kind of scouting me as a teacher already. And everything else that I had learned was it was all YouTube, right, at the time, and kind of figuring things out for yourself. And so I had the opportunity to train with Dangerous Goods at their Tuesday night crew sessions. So I remember the first time I walked in, and I was actually talking to Dark a while ago about this, because I was like, yo, you remember when I showed up? He's like, yeah. I was like, yo, I was so scared. I was like this 14-year-old white kid that it was at NAFRO still. And so I walked in at told my mom, it's 16. I just got my license, whatever. So I had driven down, told my mom where I was going. She's like, are you kidding me? Like, you're going, okay. So whatever, she let me. I don't know why. Went down, walked into the, NAFRO, walked upstairs, heard the music pumping, right? I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. Walked into the room, lights are turned down super low. I looking through the windows, like, yo, what's going on? Kind of walked in, and I thought it was a gang. I thought, no, seriously though. No, I thought I was gonna die. No, I thought I was gonna die. Well, and because there's one guy seshing, there's one guy dancing, seshing. There was one guy there was one guy dancing, and then everyone else was just kind of chilling out, right? Very relaxed environment. And but yeah, they're all Filipino guys, and I was just like, yo, man, I'm gonna get I don't know, shanked or something here, right? And then Bob was like, yo, welcome, this is what we do,
They're probably shocked. They're like, oh man, this guy's shorter than us.
Right? Yo, not all of them. Dark is pretty short. Dark is pretty short.
Dark holds the title. Shout out to Dark.
Shout out to Dark. Thank you for being shorter than me. Make me feel good about myself. So I started training with him, and that's kind of where it all started for me. I mean, what was cool is X Company, before I started with them, X Company's been around for 12, 13 years. So it was cool about that. And I was talking to the founder, the guy that started it way back in the day. But he was saying some of the first ever performances or competitions that like even CCAT started or DanceStat was actually X company competitions. It was actually a bodybuilding exhibition fitness thing that X company was putting on, and they had come and there was a short small dance battle or competition involved in that. And even it was funny because like ICC Cat, and it's like like they've always been king, right? Like they've always been like super clean, super tight, like they slay every time. And I was talking to the founder, he's like, CCAT? He's like, man, they sucked at our competition. Like they were brutal. It's like back there was like their first competition ever, right? So it's so funny to see like what I like about it is that our company's been there in the shadows all the time, kind of helping and kind of we've been there, which is kind of cool to kind of carry on that legacy and stuff, and to see and to be a part of like, we were there when CCAT was first starting, or we were there when Dangerous Goods was, we helped in that way. We were in the background and that kind of stuff. So I mean, really, it was all who you knew back then. If you didn't really know anyone in the scene, there was no really way to get into it because none of the studios did it. I mean, they did hip hop, but it was not.
It was bad.
Not what it is today, right? There, and what I'm excited about is that you look at like the studios now and how studios are actually looking for street dancers that haven't necessarily grown up in the studio, right? So I mean, for instance, like you teaching here, right? They X company. That's one thing we started as a hip hop company, and that's all we did, and now we do everything else. So we keep that at our core. But I mean, you look at all the studios in Winnipeg now, right? Like if you are a studio and you do not have a street dancer, a hip hop dancer from either one of the crews or a freestyler, like. You know what I mean? Like, don't bother kind of idea. So.
It's pretty tough too, as far as a marketing standpoint too. Like,
totally.
Like it's a huge culture.
It's a battle in itself.
And you need to get qualified teachers. I was gonna mention this thing, and you reminded me of it. Was that whole thing with the culture in transition to getting like the true roots of it back, because at Manitoba Dance Festival. They've been getting, it's different because they have different adjudicators each year, right? And so it really depends on who the adjudicator is, and also depends who the teachers are who are teaching the students, right? So I'm sure you guys were at that or experienced that. Like, what did you guys think? Have you guys been to the one this year?
This year was super dope, right? They had I forget his name. The name of this year's adjudicator. This year's adjudicator, shout out to this year's adjudicator. He was super dope. I don't know if they were saying he was originally from Winnipeg or he lived here for a while, whatever. But like again, they brought in somebody this year that really,
Vancouver.
That really knew their stuff. And
Vancouver.
I work with Nicole Owens, who's the director of Dance Manitoba. So she literally is the one who picks the adjudicator every year, right? And I work with her at the Royal Winnipeg Ballet, and like so when I'm like literally putting my attendance sheet back into my cubby, she'll like walk by me. And I'll look at her and like, because Manitoba Dance Festival is in May every year, I look at her and like, in December, I'm like, yo, who's the adjudicator this year, right? And she's like, I'm not telling you, right? Right? I'm like, okay, well, it better be somebody that knows what they're doing, right? And she's like, so this year she was like, I'm very excited for the person we're bringing in. And then she just like walks away. Like, yeah. So it's super dope to kind of be a little close to the sun a little bit. She doesn't tell me anything, but I feel like I'm rubbing shoulders with celebrities, right? So anyways, so yeah, this year was super dope. Like he knew his stuff, calling out people. What I really thought was cool about this year's adjudicator, what he did is before he went on to adjudicate, like he would make them spread out. He did a couple warm-ups with them. He had them do a couple back rocks and bounces and all that, and explain to them where the groove is coming from and ask them, where's the groove in your dance right now? Can you point to me a place? And the kids are like, oh, I don't think we have one, right? Like, but yeah, so he was super cool, and was really happy with the outcome this year. I think this year was an awesome one, and I hope that Nicole Owens keeps getting people like that.
Yeah.
Nicole,
please. I know, like there's a big festival they have out in Steinbach. They have a Steinbach festival as well. It's huge. It takes up like 3 weekends, I think. And I remember when the first year I ever sent kids, it was a breaking piece, and I had sent in. I think it was to Apache, and
nice.
Right, like so just because I mean that's when all I trained in, right, it was very kind of just old school breaking, right? And so it was funny. So I had this breaking piece, I sent it in. I mean, our studio is one of the few that has a really solid breaking program because it's been running for 9 years now. And so the first time as a teacher, right? First time going to a festival, period. Super nervous. Sent my kids out. The adjudicator walks on stage in super high heels and goes, I think this was in the wrong category. This shouldn't have been in the hip hop category. This should have been in the open category. And what you guys were doing is not hip hop. And I mean, of course, at the time I was, 16, right? 17 at the time. So I was like, what? Like now, if that happened, like I'd walk onto the stage almost and just be like, bruh.
I would say, show me what.
Right?
Show me
Exactly.
what you know.
What is hip hop? What is hip hop?
Maybe you know something I don't know.
And then you cue that "This Is Hip Hop" video from that old lady with the blue sweater, right? Like, remember that video? Like, my mom says hip hop's like this. I'm making sound effects because nobody can see me. Anyways, if you ever come across that video with the lady with the blue sweater and her crew in the background doing some kind of like boogaloo with Ritalin in their bodies or something, I don't know what's going on, right? But anyways, that's a popping joke that only Angelo gets right now. So that's fine. Anyways, right? So Brett, continue.
Yeah, no, it's cool to see because that's been a battle out there too that we've been trying to talk to them and just say like, please get someone out here that knows, right? And a lot of the times with these festivals, they try to get one person to do it all because it's cheaper, right? And for years it was like finally when I made enough of, they don't really like me that much out there, unfortunately, because I'm always like, yo, like what is this, right? And because again, like our studio started as a hip hop studio, and we try to stay really true to that raw element. And so, like I think the last year, finally they started getting good adjudicators. Like they've had Genie out, we've had Romeo out. Shout out to Romeo. Romeo was like actually, I don't know a lot of people know this. Romeo started with X Company back in the day.
Yeah,
you know
a
what
lot
I'm
of people
talking
know
about?
that.
A lot of people don't know that. You know what I'm talking about?
And I was like, oh shoot.
You know what I'm talking
Romeo
about?
started everything everywhere.
X Company OG, just saying. And then he went on to build a massive, awesome
Empire.
everything else, which is sweet.
Shout out to the Rome father. Yeah. Does that work?
Yo, in the zone 10. Be there, boss showing up.
That's the last in the zone, man.
Last in the zone. Maybe boss will start one. I don't know.
Well,
Out of bounds. It would be called Out of Bounds.
Manitoba Dance Festival, like I actually had a mixed my review of it was kind of mixed because I did like the way that he spread out like the kids and like taught them the groove and all that kind of stuff. And he was talking about funk a lot, like where's the funk, like where's the groove, where's your groove coming from. And that's a really important thing for the students to understand because they don't like the groove comes from like the party aspect of it, and a lot of those kids, they don't party. It's just not in there. Like, it's not in the culture. It's not in the culture. They go to the studio. They go to the studio and it's like, okay, learn these moves, boom, 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 and that's pretty much it. Unless they're really seeking it and be like, oh yeah, this is like a really fun thing to do as a party, like just like a having fun type thing, rather than like a scheduled thing. I have to learn this and then all that kind of stuff. So that was great as far as him teaching that. But I had a solo in there. Like my student was doing a solo. It's just a locking. It was locking, and I put some strutting and some popping elements in it as well. And he's talking about the funk, and then then my student goes, he's like, oh yeah, I see that you did mostly locking in this routine, blah blah blah. I really enjoyed it. It was refreshing. And then he gave a score of like 83, which is like a silver, whatever it is. I'm like, well, I don't know how you could go to the say stuff about the funk, and I put the funk styles routine together, and then you give it like a lower mark than some of the other marks that were in the same category. So I was kind of like, yeah, he knows his stuff, but I don't know about like that particular instance why it was so inconsistent with his previous comments. That was just my take on it. But yeah, again, I agree with all the groove stuff and all that. I'm just like, So.
Well, I mean, at least he's talking about the groove too. I mean,
that is true,
right? Like that's a lot don't, right? A lot, especially at festivals, it's very choreo based, right? And that's one thing I learned from kind of everyone that I've trained with. I have like certain things that I've really picked up on that have stuck with me to become the teacher that I am now, the choreographer I am now. And I mean, one of the things that Wayne Santos taught me was that even though he does choreo, and he does right, tons of choreo, one thing he said to me, he was like, always make sure that there is that foundational groove element to your choreo, because even if these kids don't freestyle or don't want to freestyle, that's at least they're getting a taste of what it feels like to connect with the music and to kind of relax in that music as well, opposed to just going step, 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 step. So at least it gives them that little freedom. So I mean, that's cool that at least an adjudicator is commenting on that, because again, that groove is like, that's foundational freestyle, right? Just raw feeling the music, right? So.
Well, the good thing is that Patrick Hilario is he's on his way to become an adjudicator as well, and me myself, because we both teach at the studio at Rising Star. So we submitted like all this stuff to like, you know, gotta be an adjudicator and all that. So hopefully down the line we'll be adjudicating in some of the outside towns in Manitoba.
Slip you a 20.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yo, real quick.
Buy me a cheeseburger and I'll be
Real
good.
quick, let me take a quick second to do a real quick plug, because Tracy has to leave this podcast real quick. Tracy, you want to take a minute to talk about your art sale? If that's okay, Angelo.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know what I'm saying? You got some art sale.
Man. Okay, I'm on the spot. Yeah, so outside of hip hop, which is like a huge part of my life, I do arts of all sorts. So I do visual arts, and I'm going to India actually to go study a new aspect of culture, volunteer with some Tibetan refugees, do some English courses, but just again, like study culture, then study yoga. I actually like to fuse yoga with my breaking, as Stallz can kind of vouch for too, which is cool. So yeah, going there to just kind of expand on some things. But to get myself there, I'm fundraising by selling almost all of my art at up to 50% off. So got lots of photos there. You can purchase a photo that I haven't even taken yet for the same price. Everything's on sale. It's just a matter of you proclaiming as to whether or not you want to get a photo that's already in existence or wait. And yeah, everything's on sale. I have ceramic ware, paintings, photography, and that's what's up.
So visit www.tracytomshuck.com for all the details, and there'll be a link there to the Kickstarter campaign where you can click a button to donate specifically the amount and what you can get from that art sale. Correct?
Yeah,
Yes.
sale until June 8th, 2017. Whoop, whoop.
Hashtag artist life.
Yeah.
Sell your art.
Great. Awesome. Thanks for that. People should know about that kind of stuff. Bretton, we've had massive discussions about styles and theory and all this kinds of stuff. Where is this all taking you? Like, what are you looking forward to in the future as far as your dance goes, and also your students?
Matt, kind of like what's coming next kind of idea.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like we've done the battle. The battles have done really well. Our studios are growing. We now are opening up the second location in Portage la Prairie, which will be dope. So anyone looking for a job, hit us up. Because we're always looking to employ, again, street dancers, keep it real. But I don't know, like for me, I guess the big thing is just getting back to what I love to do, and I guess training for me. For me, the way I look at things is like there's almost you're on a journey, and there's like almost like seasons, right? Is the way I look at it. Like I've gone through seasons of like training hard for me. Then I've gone through as a teacher where my focus has totally stopped being me. Obviously, I still dance, but it's more about like throwing as much knowledge and so much instruction to my students. And so it's been more of a season of teaching and I guess I don't know, sewing and feeding into kind of my students. And so I think for me, I'm finding that middle ground of like that kind of picking it up again for me and it's kind of a reminder of like why I'm doing it in the first place, which is huge, right? And if I can find that, then I mean all is good in the world, in a way. And so for me, it's finding that middle ground of like as a teacher, and again, this is a suggestion to all teachers out there. Like the way I look at it, and even all of our teachers that come on, we make it mandatory that all of our teachers are still training, right? Because to me, it's something that I've learned over that is, man, if you're not training yourself, the creativity dries up so fast, right? Like I've been teaching for 10 years, and every year it's like you come full circle, and it's like starting pieces again the next year, and you're like, I mean, when you're teaching man, we have like 450 students. I teach 450 students across Manitoba in different rural towns. And so for me, it's like, yo, that's, I don't even know how many pieces that is in a year, right? And so for me, it's like, you know, like I come to full circle and it's like, how am I going to outdo what I did last year, right? It's like I need to keep training. And the way I look at it is the best teachers are still students. Kind of once a student, always a student kind of idea. So for me, the next thing I think is really getting back to training for me again, getting back into the battles, getting back into ciphering all the time, and even throwing down harder. Like I've been challenged to throw down a little bit harder, even in my classes. I mean, when you're teaching 7-8 classes a night, it's hard to keep that energy up. But for me, even my students are starting to push me to like, okay, we're doing a cipher. Okay, well, instead of me just kind of throwing in one touch, you know, to inspire the kids, like, yo, like, no, let's just I'm going to use it as time for me as well. What I'm excited about, with B.O.S. and with the new members of B.O.S. and the relationships that we have, so Stallz and Jonelle and that kind of stuff, already they're pushing me to like get right back into it and not. Like, we had a sesh today and it was like Jonelle was like, yo, okay, first round, first touch, go for a full song. Like, yo, you know, at that 2-minute mark, you're like, oh. I'm dying, right? So it's good. They're really pushing me to get outside of my comfort zone. In terms of teaching, I have a teaching gig down in, where am I going? Down in the States. I'll be going down for 2 weeks to Atlanta, Georgia, to teach some workshops and teaching all week for 2 weeks. It's pretty dope. They're bringing me down to help them build almost like a summer programming camp training kind of idea. We do that up here. So they've, I don't know, whoever knew through here kind of heard about what we do and our structure. So they want us to kind of come and develop one for them down there, as well as teach while I'm down there, which is pretty cool. But even that, it's like seeing opportunity in that. Yes, I get to teach. Yes, I get paid to do it. And it'll be somewhere different. But at the same time, like I'm hooking up with some studios and some crews down there to train as much as we can. And I mean, I think that's why the scene in Winnipeg is growing so fast, is because we have a lot more people now leaving Winnipeg to get training and bringing that knowledge back to Winnipeg. Right. Which is dope, right? Like you see cats are always going to Toronto, going to BC, going to Vancouver, and, you know, and then coming back and it's like, yo, like, yeah, right? Because people are hungry here. They're hungry for new knowledge and to grow. So that's kind of up and up on us. I mean, obviously the company it's life. Unfortunately, or not unfortunately, sometimes unfortunately, because you're just tired of it, you want to break, right? We were talking about that today. We were talking about kind of the difference between like a 9-to-5 job, and for me, it's kind of like, yo, it would kind of be nice to just have a 9-to-5 job where there's a solid paycheck every 2 weeks that you can count on. Because I mean, as a business owner, it's like, you know, like if you don't make it happen, it don't happen, right? You can't pay those bills. So I mean, it's a big part of it. But I mean, for us, it's like, for me and my wife, we love what we do. Especially with the students and with our kids. And we've been doing it this is our 10th year now going in. So, I mean, our battle's bigger and better. Keep pushing it. I mean, like I said, Boss Crew for life. Like we found a really good home and where we feel inspired by the other people on the team, but also we're able to impart our knowledge onto the members of the team as well that want to teach and that want to go into business and that want to do this kind of stuff, because it's not easy. It's hard, and there's a lot of things that, I mean, we're still learning that we didn't know, right? So for us, I think that's where we're headed. Not going anywhere soon in terms of stopping or getting out of it. Kind of we've committed 110%. Unfortunately, our house is in it. You know, like everything's in it, right? So for us, we're just pushing, and it's that grind, right? It's that grind, and I mean, eventually there's got to be a light at the end of the tunnel, kind of idea.
I think so. If you're committed to that degree, it's inevitable. It's gonna you become undeniable at a certain point. You just at it a long time. You're learning. You're making mistakes, but you keep on pushing forward, you know. And I'm really thankful that stuff is happening, because sometimes people just they don't know about something, and then when they finally find something like that, it's like, whoa, like there's stuff out here in Steinbach. Whoa, there's stuff out like happening at Port Phillip.
Yeah, like, you know, it's huge though. Like a lot of people don't know. Like and just to mention, like even the Filipino community in Steinbach, huge. huge population of Filipino community there, right? So for us, we're working really hard on tapping into that as well and connecting with Filipino community out there. The other studio that would be our competitors out there. It's very white, very rich. So there's not a lot of people that go there outside of that. So our studio is very, like I said, we're a studio, but X Company is not a studio, right? Like it's got that very crew street atmosphere where it's kind of, it's a family, right? Mm-hmm. You come in, you chill out, you hang out. It's not that dance moms, mentality at all. And we have a lot of people that come. We have a lot of kids. What I really love about the heart of our company is that we don't turn away kids that have, say, holdups or something holding them back, right? We have tons of kids that have ADHD. We have kids that have FAS. And it's kind of like, the way I look at it is like, if dancing is what gives you purpose in life, man, do it, right? I'm not going to turn away a kid to do that, right?
Right.
If that means that, I'm putting a kid on the stage that maybe isn't as clean or doesn't have as much control as the other people, and that means that, our company's not going to take all the first places and that kind of stuff, well, and so be it, right? There's more to life than winning, right? Like we were talking earlier.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, like I have a kid who, he's one of my craziest B-boys now. And, he came in when I first started teaching him when he was like 7, ADHD, off the wall. Like I was ready to right? And now dance has taught him to control his ADHD, right? And to stay focused and to kind of apply what he's had. I've had other stories where, we've had kids that suicidal, right? We work up north on a lot of reserves. Pucktawagan, shout out to Pucktawagan, Team Fearless up there, with a parkour crew as well, and B-boys up there. And so we go up to these reserves and we use urban culture, hip-hop culture, DJing, and we use that culture to connect with the youth out there and give them something that gives them value, right? To kind of battle the issue of suicide up there. So we've worked with Suicide Prevention Canada and that kind of stuff, which is, it's kind of like, that's why I do what I do, is more of that impact. It's less about, look at me, I'm cool,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got a tattoo. Yeah, I got earrings. Yeah, I fit in still. I'm getting older, but I fit in. And it's more about the impact that we've made on these kids around Manitoba, and to see the hip hop culture blowing up around, like outside of Winnipeg, is super cool. Steinbach Battle, that's coming up June 17th. Y'all, I got so much stuff in my head right now. June 17th, Steinbach, right down from our studio, actually downtown Steinbach. It's the biggest outdoor all-styles event in Manitoba, which is pretty dope. We are the first ever to add a junior all-styles, which is also sick. So any teachers out there that have students that want to freestyle and don't want to have to go up against Angelo because they're intimidated by him and his charming good looks and popping abilities, send them out. It's ages 7 to 15, 7 to 16, and then we do our adult all-style after that. And to be able to run a battle in Steinbach, Manitoba, of all places, and have people there, the youngest sitting there, maybe 5, 6 years old, to like 80, 90s year olds sitting in their wheelchairs, rocking out and bouncing. We're talking about Mennonites, right? Like that's sick. Like, like music and dance has power to affect people, right? This is in a culture where out there, dancing is like, oh no, you don't dance, right? Dancing's not good. Dancing leads to sex, right? And to see that generation all of a sudden going like, like this is actually really cool, and to see the kids like, like it's really inspiring. It's really cool to see. So June 17th, Steinbach. Look us up on Facebook, X Company All Style.
That's going to be awesome. And I hope you continue to work with the youth and the people who are, are going through struggles, and, because that's a really important thing. And I think we forget how far reaching and what kind of influence the culture can have on people. Mm-hmm. And you're a true testament of that yourself, right? Like, everybody experiences struggle, and when you're dancing, especially, like you have all this life stuff going on, and you like, I gotta practice, or I gotta this is next event, or like personal development as far as like, I gotta get better for myself. and then you have to push through these certain things. So yeah, man, I hope to be a part of that as well, because I've experienced struggles like that myself. And if there's any way I could help out with that, that'd be awesome. I know we've done some stuff together before, and that was awesome. That was a different time, and this is now, and
Yeah, man.
and so I'm excited for all that. I totally forgot about another question I had, because you went down that path that I was like, yeah, but that was so much more important than what my question was. Hopefully it'll come back. Yeah, Stallz, do you have anything else to say?
What's Stallz' move next? Where's he going? What's he doing?
What do you mean?
He's gonna create some more burns based off
What's
of
he
wrestling
going?
moves.
Yeah, probably. Or some movies that I watch, maybe.
The Stone Cold Stallz Austin.
Yeah. I don't know what's next. I don't know. You know what? If you can make it out to Summer in the City and the Exco All Styles battle, definitely do it. I had like a really good time last year. But this year I will be unable to attend. I'm going to be at Game Theory with the Goggle Brothers. We're going to be representing Goggle Brothers. We were invited out by Simon, and
That's in Saskatoon, right?
yeah, in Saskatoon. So it's like our first kind of crew battle outside of Winnipeg with a lot of numbers, right? I think originally they're planning to have like a crew-on-crew battle, but now it's like a one-on-one and a two-on-two, something like that. But we're going to come out and represent and, see and just chill with the homies in Saskatoon, right? Just try and have a good time, do some dancing.
Cool, man. Genie, we'll probably talk a little bit after this as well, but as far as doing more events, I think also having a collaborative thing amongst people who are organizing, because I know there's people like, oh, I'm thinking about this event, but I don't know about, like, I have trouble with this aspect, or I have this barrier that I have to push through, where they could just, they could be simply like just ask you and be like, yo, well, what did you do about that? What did you do this? And I'm sure you're willing to lend that information out, and as far as going forward and building the community as a whole, as we start having more events, like different types of events, instead of like everything like mostly on you as far as holding like the next battle, like when's the next battle? Oh, everybody asks Genie, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, CypherTalk podcast. Thank you guys for coming out. I know it's been a crazy week. Oh, this is what I wanted to ask. It came back. You guys went to the B-Girl Lynx's workshop.
Oh yeah.
How was that?
Yo, though.
So dope.
Oh my, where do you start though?
All right,
Genie, you want to take this one?
All right.
Yo.
Okay, let's start from scratch. So we had B-Girl Lynx come out. Big shout out to B-Girl Lynx. She came out from Montreal.
Montreal in the building.
Montreal.
You know what I'm saying? I met, like I said, me and Dexter are originally from Montreal, and every time I go back home, I go and take as many classes as I can. And a couple years ago, I literally Googled the dance classes in Montreal because I had no idea where to go, because I wasn't dancing when I was back in Montreal. And Lynx came up immediately, like, oh, breaking class at Distortion on St. Catherine. So I hit it up, met her there, and brought her out to Winnipeg. Anyways, so she's here, she's judging, and I guess in the finals, Della was in the finals, and Lynx voted against them, so Della ended up losing, blah, 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 him and his team. So I guess as the battle settles and it's over and people going around giving hugs and crying and having a good time, Della was on his way out, and Lynx was like going after him to congratulate him, say how dope he was, because she's never seen him before and she was really impressed. And he like gave her the cock, like that's like a breaking thing of just like, just like, oh, hand in the face, like came from like the crotch area kind of thing, like just like, yeah, so like it's called throwing a cock or giving a cock, right? So he gave it right to her face, and then he like tried to book it out of the building or something. So she chased him down, right? Because like, yo, Lynx is serious, like she doesn't take no shit, right? Like she's the real deal. So she chased him down. She explains how disrespectful that was and why he did that when she was really just trying to congratulate him. And I guess he disagreed with a judge's decision, and he decided to take it in that way. So he's like, well, then I'll battle you for it. Like, I'll battle you, blah, blah. She's like, well, then fine. Like, I'll smoke you. Like, and so the culture takes over, right? So we had Lynx. So the battle's on Saturday. We had Lynx teaching a class on Sunday. And so apparently Della was supposed to come and they were going to battle. So Lynx shows up for the class. Everybody's there. All the bosses in there. Patrick and a lot of Gaggle brothers come through, and we're all in. There's like 30 of us, and Dexter's spinning. We're all having a good time, and Della shows up, right? And they're talking, and I was like, yo, is this about to happen again? Because I didn't know what happened when it happened, and Lynx told me about it after that this happened. I was really disappointed that it happened in our city. But Della shows up, and they're talking, and then he sits down, and Lynx addresses the class, and she does like a whole like 10, 15-minute spiel about like what happened and who she is and why she doesn't take this and what's about to happen next and what needs to happen next, and really just like giving Della the what's what while he kind of just sat there and honestly like agreed with what she was saying and really just kind of brought it back to a place of that they were agreeing with each other. And then before the workshop even started, they battled. Like they went 4 rounds to like settle their differences the way the culture should actually be, right? And her main point was like, yo, like if you disagree with what I'm saying, like either come talk to me, you know, like one-on-one, or battle for me, right? Like don't do what you did. And it's like she called it unoriginal and all that stuff, right? So as a woman, she definitely felt a certain way about how that was done, and she addressed that. And it was just kind of trippy because all 30 of us are like in the room just kind of standing there while she like addresses us, barely kind of looks at him, and he's sitting on the corner and just nodding his head, yeah, you're right. And it was just like, what do we do? Like we're all just standing there, right? It was intense. It was an intense moment, and but at the same time like a really educational moment for all of us. And I think honestly, we were all saying like it's a part of now Winnipeg history, like. And it happened, today's Monday, it happened yesterday at 7:30. So count in your calendars of a historical moment in Winnipeg hip hop history, right? Like she just, again, went for a 15-minute speech about why it was wrong and why what he did was disrespectful, not only to me as a dancer, but someone who's experienced, someone who clearly knows something that you can gain from and all that, right? So then he like, you know, went over, they hugged it out, they battled, they hugged it out again. And then she said, you know, like now we're cool and now we're good, right? So it got to a good moment of unity in the end, but we kind of had to go through 15 minutes of like waiting for this unity to hopefully happen, and we didn't know if it was gonna happen. It was like all of us had no idea where this was gonna go. But yo, big shout out to Della though. Big shout out to Della coming through and really just flipping the script. Like he admitted he was wrong and did something the night before and came to this today, and he said, you know, I thought about it, I knew it was wrong, and he came and faced her the way it should be, right? So. Big shout out to Lynx for straight up defending herself like I've never seen done in our scene and probably anywhere. And
it was raw.
It was really raw. And big shout out to Della for really being a big man about it. Like, So yeah.
Shout out to the two of them. I definitely support like settling things on the dance floor, settling things in a battle, like instead of just having some kind of grudge behind someone's back and never settling it, right? Like that's one of the things about this dance is like people in New York, you know, years ago were killing each other over you're wearing the wrong jacket in the wrong neighborhood, and then it evolved into this where like, you know, you're brought together because of hip hop, right? And you could settle something like that in like a mature way and get it out on the floor, right? So
and you could have disagreements and you know like handle the dispute in a respectful manner and you know piece it out at the end of it. I mean, again, like what Genie was saying with Della, like actually coming out because he has to face like what he did like the night before, and then like you know face like the person he did it to, and then go about doing that way and try to resolve an issue like probably even within himself because he was probably angry at that point when he did that certain thing, and so I didn't know I was gonna go into that.
Well, and in front of 30 people too. It's one thing to you know be like yo. I screwed up here, you know, I apologize, but to do it in front of a bunch of people, like that takes balls. So like good on him. And just the vibe, how the vibe changed was like, you couldn't explain it. Like the tension that was in the room, the vibe where it was just like, it was dead silent. And then after it was like, holy,
it's like we got through that storm cloud.
And then we were all standing there like, and then she's like, all right, let's do conditioning. Let's go. And we're like,
I wasn't even out of breath. Though, right?
But honestly, the very funniest thing about it, and that's why this is a big shout out to Della, is that he couldn't stay for the class like he wanted to, but like he came. So like on his way out, I walked him out. He's like, "Yo, walk with me, let's talk." And he wanted to pay for the class anyway. Like the rest, like it was $10 to take Linton's class, and he came to do this, and he still wanted to pay for the class. So again, big shout out to him. But I was like, "Oh, like you seem in a hurry right now." He's like, "Yeah, man. Like I had to pick up my dad. Like he thinks I'm getting gas right now." Right? Like, he's like, and I was like, "What time?" Like by the time he left, it was like almost 7:45, and I was like, "What time are you supposed to pick him up?" He's like, "Yo, man, 6:30. Like it's 7:45. Like he's texting me like this is a long gas station, right?" I'm like, right, like yo, I know how the tank should take 20 seconds to fill or whatever, right? So he's like, "All right, here's the money, man. Yo, thanks so much. Like I feel this, and this way." And he just like got in his car and then like did some Fast and Furious onto the street and jet down the. I think he ran a couple red lights. I'm just kidding. But anyway, so big shout out to Della for like literally coming through, like taking that and doing a big thing for the culture. Big shout out to Lynx and hopefully he got his dad from wherever he was, because I think the angriest person in this situation was. It's probably the angriest person.
Did you guys get footage of that at all?
Yeah.
Lynx has it on her GoPro. And Brett has it. So
I videotaped that.
Brett's phone is worth $1 million right now, right?
I'd like to see that.
Yo, so donations to X company, highest bidder gets the footage. You know what I'm talking about? We got to put some new floor in one of our studios. Help the cause.
There you go.
Just kidding.
I want to ask this because it seems to be like a touchy issue and people tiptoe around it. Given the story that you guys just gave, what do you guys think about people calling out people as far as like, is it good for the culture, or if they disagree with them? Because I'm sure there's people, especially people who've been on the podcast and they've tried to, like, I understand people are very compassionate and sensitive to other people's feelings, but at the same time, like, voice what you really feel. Like, how do you think this is going? Like, do you think that's an issue that people are a little bit too nice in Winnipeg as far as voicing their opinion on certain things?
I don't know. For me, I think calling someone, I don't know. That it is a touchy subject, right? Because Winnipeg has this really cool feel. The hip hop community in Winnipeg's small, it's tight, right? Kind of everyone knows everyone, right? And it's a very supportive group, right? Again, shout out to Bob for kind of cultivating that, where it's like, again, if we didn't have that culture here in Winnipeg, which I believe is very different than a lot of other places, I would not be in the scene. I would not be dancing. I would not be in any of that if it was very closed off and very kind of like, you do your thing, right? And where here it's a very supportive environment, which I think is important because we're new and we're growing. But I think we are getting to that place where I don't know, man. Like I think it depends on what you're calling someone out on.
Right.
I think is the first thing. I think the second thing is how you do it. Right. There is still a respectful way of talking with someone or calling someone out. Like I tell Genie all the time, like even with choreo, he gave me a spot to do some choreo for In the Zone coming up with our crew, which was super dope, super excited about. And one thing that I always go to him about, I'm like, yo, like if there's something that's like whack in my choreo that you're just like, yo, that's weird, like I want him to. For me as a person and as a choreographer, because I'm still on a journey, like, yo, tell me, right? Same thing. Like if I'm going down a direction, with my freestyle, it's just like, oh, yo, like, like I want to hear those things. I may not agree with him, and I may go, okay, well, cool, like thanks, but I don't think so. Whatever, keep going, right? So I think that's a big part of it. I think it's how you do it. I also think it's relationship that you have, right? Like Genie and I have that relationship where, like if there's something that goes down in practice, I have no problem calling him up right after practice and saying, yo, hey, this is how I'm feeling. Just like he can do it back to me. We have that relationship, right? I think it'd be different if, I went up to Shaq, who I know we're friends, but we're not like super tight. If I had gone up to Shaq and go, yo, Shaq, I didn't like your set and I didn't like how you did this and to me, I think that's wrong, right? I think relationship is a big thing. I'm big on relationships. But yeah, I don't think it's, so I guess to sum it up, I don't think it's a bad thing to necessarily call someone out. I think it's what it is for, why you're calling them out, and to how you do it, right? Because again, even with this whole situation, right? Really, I think how you're calling someone out, I think makes a huge difference, right? But I think completely saying like, oh, we shouldn't be calling people out and da-da-da. Like, I also think that's part of the culture. And to lose that, to me, would be you losing part of the culture, right? So I think there's a balance. There has to be a balance to it. But I don't know. That's my views. Genie's rubbing his hands. He wants in on this.
Doing the Birdman hand rub.
Yeah.
Put some respect on
it. Time to put some respect on this podcast. Anyways, I just hope that, and it's weird to figure out how to teach this, right? Like for me, like there's still cats in the scene that I want to beat, right? Like, and I want to say I beat them, right? Like like I want to be able to say I beat everybody in this room, right? Like if we're in a battle, like I want to say I can hold my own against you. Right? Like when I was coming up, and I was saying like I wanted to beat Jonel so bad. And it's still a dream of mine to end up in the finals with him and like have all 3 judges say Genie won. Okay, like that's still one of my bucket list things. Big shout out to Jonel.
Watch out.
So like yeah, so like I like you know like and even for me like it's
Civil War.
right. And then when Jonel stopped and retired, I was like, okay, like Alomar, like I'm coming for you, right? Like, right, like no, stop this. Oh, Alomar wins it. Like I'm coming for you, right? But same thing. Like I want to beat Angelo. I want to beat Stallz. I want to beat Brett. I want to beat Dexter. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to be better than all these guys, right? Like so, it's for me, it's more of an individual mentality that like. I'm gonna call you out in the moment of us getting paired against each other. Like, I mean, I guess the brackets did it for me, whatever. Right? Like, so I'm a little more conservative that way, right? Like, I'll wait for who the brackets let me call out, right? But just that competitive nature of like I'm coming at your throat because I want to be that guy, right? So, I'm not personally the person to be like, oh, I'm just gonna come into Cypher and call you out. Like that's not really my vibe. I don't have any use for that per se. But I just hope that that dancers coming up still have that hunger inside them that like they can look at a dancer and be like, yeah, I look up to you, like yeah, I love what you do, but I'm coming at your neck anytime, any chance I get, right? So the thing that I see in like a Toronto scene or a Montreal scene is that they still have that competitive nature with each other all the time, right? Where in Winnipeg it's so small and we practice literally with each other day in and day out that competitive nature kind of goes to the background a little bit. You know, classic example at this last year's Boxing Day jam, what happened with like Winston and Doodles, right? Like, you know, Doodles kind of doing what Winston does and doing it at the same time as him, and Winston doing a get down, Doodles knowing what he's doing, like, or even what happened to Stallz with like, okay, well, we know what he's about to do, like all that stuff. It's just like, okay, well, that hopefully like lights a fire in our bellies, like, okay, well, now it's time for me to come back at your throat next time because you did this to me this time, right? So like. I see that in Winston, like, because he wears it on his sleeve. Literally has like a fireball on his chest, right? Like, so like he's very obvious with it, right? But I have that. I had that coming up because of the people that I was looking up to. And speaking of Shaq, like he always says like, you know, work till your idols become your rivals, right? Like do that kind of work, right? Which is a dope quote, like, you know what I'm saying? So I just hope that everybody has that fire in their belly. So like even if you're not coming directly out of nowhere and being like, yo, let's go, at least like you can still say, if I get the chance, like it's over for you, and because I'm confident like that, right? So let's hope everybody's like that, and to all the next gen cats, like get that in your belly right now, you know?
Well, that's the healthy competition that I enjoy, because one of my teachers, as far as like taking his workshop, Gemini, he's a locker from France. He's like, you know, it's sometimes it's like a game, like a video game. Like sometimes people, when they're playing you in a video game, they're gonna be super serious. You know, they're gonna be dissing you or whatever. Sometimes they're gonna be joking around, like, oh, I'm gonna, you know, they're
Call of Duty.
joke around. You know, and,
that NHL though,
and then
you know,
sometimes like,
lost friends.
Okay.
with street dance, you get people like taking it to a serious level. Sometimes when they make it personal, when it's not meant to be personal, or maybe it is personal. Like it depends on the situation, but. You know, it's how you take the rules of like the whole game, if you will. So yeah, Genie, I enjoyed that mentality. I think that's a good mentality, rather than always just being like, oh, let's just have an exchange, which is nice as well, right? That's what it is. But that competitive nature is an extra driving force.
Yeah, no, like a couple of us have it. It's just like, yo, like in the battle we see it, but like I'd like us to just always have that, like, yeah, if I see you at Sobeys, okay, we're cool, like, right? Like unless like
that's
Sobeys
on sale over there.
Unless Sobeys is playing some turned up music, then yeah, like okay, well, Angelo, like let's go, right? But yeah,
the middle of Sobeys, that was
like,
so
if I
hilarious.
could comment on that, actually,
Yeah.
if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
I really like the approach of the battles, especially I'm going to use Dance for MS because it was the last weekend that just passed. And in the battle, if the hunger was at a point where it was like, yeah, I'm coming for you, yeah, I'm coming for you, and I saw it at a point between even Brett and Tracy where it was like they went at it, and then at the end,
Yeah, she was so mad at me afterwards too.
which is important in this is to Genie's point, is that at the end of the battle, both crews went up to each other and embraced each other. So they each, you know, they gave each other props or hugs and just showed love for the community and for the culture, saying, yo, that was a great battle, like you did well. Kind of like a handshake after a sporting event or whatever. But during the battle, it's a battle. So, but at the end, we're still friends, and it just stimulates that healthy competition, that friendly competition, and we're all here for the same purpose. So that's my added 6 cents on that.
Definitely.
Yeah. You know, like one of the dopest battles I ever saw was I went down to a freestyle session. I think it's the 10-year anniversary of freestyle session in San Diego, and it was just in the Cypher. It wasn't, the battles hadn't started yet. It's just this dope track came on, and it was I think Mark the Beard from Russia, and he battled this Asian guy from California, and they just went rounds back and forth, all footwork, and just swift short rounds. They went like mad rounds, maybe like 5-round battle, and it was like you could see it throughout the whole thing. It was just a respectful call out. I know who you are. You have a reputation. You inspired me. Let me test you, see what you have, right? Like calling somebody out doesn't need to be a way to settle beef. It can be, but it doesn't always need to be. But calling somebody out, like, if you do it the right way, you do it with respect, it's like, I don't know, it's there's some kind of share of energy back and forth that way, right? Like, you're going to respect each other's styles and who each other is more after the battle, once you've tested each other and saw what each other is about. So just what you two were saying about it, it's just like, do it with respect. And I think it's something really important in that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
At the same time, though, students out there, you don't need to call your teachers out every week. Jeremy. Yo, shout out to Jeremy.
Shout out, Jeremy.
Beginning of every breaking class that I teach out in Morden, as he walks into the room, into the studio, he goes, "Yo, Brett, let's go, let's battle." Right? And we'll do ciphers at the end, and every cipher turns into a battle where he comes at me. And so there's times I just walk away. I was like, bro, get out of here.
He starts flexing on you with his abs.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, why does that kid look like that?
Oh my goodness. I don't know what they're eating in Morden, but
it's
that corn. It's that corn. It's a corn and apple juice,
corn
man.
and Morden.
Roided up corn.
Yo, shout out to Jeremy one more time for his knee pads and elbow pads from Majo.
OG elbow pads.
Yo, it's like, yo,
those
big pads. It's like, yo, Majo gave me these pads, man. These are the OG pads. Yo, and Brett literally called me at like 10 p.m. to talk to me about this. He's like, yo, when you see Jeremy, be sure to make fun of his OG pads.
Okay, so how the story goes, Jeremy walks into class, and he's been ciphering down at CK. So I'm like, yo, like, go, like, train as much as you can, right? Because he's got that hunger, right? He's like, yeah, man, like, go and train with as many different people as you can, not just me, right? So he's been training down there, and he's been building relationships down there, and I guess Majo gave him his elbow pads, his old elbow pads.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Man. Yo, Majo, you're an OG to him, just so you know, okay? And so he walks into class that next Monday, and he walks in wearing these pads already. So he's like got a sweater on, and he's wearing these pads on his elbows, and he goes, "Hey, Brett, how's it going?" I'm like, "Sup, Jeremy? How's it going?" Like, I'm trying to warm, because he assists, right? So I'm trying to warm up my other class. Yeah, like, I'm at the front of the room trying to start my class, and he's like, "Yeah, hey, what's up?" I'm like, "Nothing. What's up? How you doing, Jeremy?" He's like, people can't see it, but he's like showing his elbows. I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" He's like, "You know, no big deal. These are just OG elbow pads." And I was like, "What?" Who? What? Who? From where? And he's like, "Oh yeah, man, these are Majo's." And I was like, "Okay, wait, hold on. Those are Majo's old sweaty elbow pads." He's like, "Yeah, man. They're not just any elbow pads. They're OG elbow pads." And I was like, all right. Then it gets to the next class where it's his class. He's going around to every one of the students in class. He's like, "Yo, check out these OG pads from Winnipeg, man." I'm like, "Man, I love you, Jeremy. I give you a hard time, but man, it was funny."
So I danced him as I go up to him. I was like, "Those are the OG elbow pads?" He's like, "Yeah, man. Do you see them? I'm like, yo, Brett was serious. This guy's really into it. So funny.
Hey, man, his OG pads got him to, second place?
The finals, man.
So taking on Torcanera. Holy.
Yo, Jeremy, make sure you shout out and you go see Majo for those elbow pads, because those got you second place. Remember that.
That wasn't you, bro. It wasn't you.
Yo.
Make me like Majo.
Oh, man. about to say it. Give me a second, Angelo. God damn.
This is my podcast.
I was like, leaning forward, like, God, that's too swift.
Oh yeah, and Madro, if you got another set, I'd like a set of your elbow pads there. You know?
Wow, man.
So good.
I gotta give a shout out to Maribeth, aka Twerkanera.
Yo, every time,
Killing it.
every time.
It was
She doesn't play.
amazing. That was like one of the best losses I ever had.
No, Maribeth's a beast.
Yeah.
I think this is her city right now.
Yeah, with the freshest jacket ever.
Yes.
I need me one of those
correct.
OG jackets. Those Mary Beth OG jackets.
Yes. Maribeth wants to do like a clothing swap with the team, right? With B.O.S., right? So she's been telling me about this for a while. She's like, yo, let's do a clothing swap. So I'm like, okay, yeah, let's do the clothing swap so I can swap with you, dog. Like,
Yeah.
I got short arms.
Yo.
Yeah.
I could probably fit it.
Right.
Her clothing game stepped up. Like,
Yeah.
nice vintage pieces. Like,
Every time she walks in practice, I'm like, yo, what is she going to wear today? Oh, sick.
We could go all day with this. I'm gonna just cut it off there. But I want to thank you guys for coming out. It's always a fun time talking to you guys, and you know, this is the stuff that I like to get into, the theory, the stories, the origins, you know, the history, all that kind of stuff, and the culture. So thank you guys again. This is CypherTalk podcast. Any final words for this episode?
Yo, shout out to Angelo.
yeah.
Cypher Talks.
Big shout out, Angelo.
Pass around that knowledge. Exco All Style.
That's right.
X Company Studio.
Right. Big shout out to Engineer.
Engineer.
Bang, bang, bang.
Andrew.
B.O.S. Dance Crew. Assassins.
Big shout out, Machina, too.
Machina too.
Oh, my bad.
That's a good place
We're gonna keep that there.
That's a good place to
That's
end.
raw. It's raw. All right, peace out, guys. CypherTalk podcast.